all the girls will applaud, all the girls will command, as long as they understand they are fighting for the girls. They never thought they could win.
Can you describe the impact of the rebel attack on your village and how it affected your family and community?
The impact it had, wow, I remember very well when the rebels came to attack our village. They burned down the huts, killed so many people, then collected young girls and young boys, some were old as well, and then turned the little boys into soldiers as well, brainwashed them, turned them into soldiers, and the young girls were being tortured, raped, and with that it had created so many like uncertainty, and families were separated, some were killed. With that as well, then went into trauma. People were traumatized, people were vulnerable, and to be in that space where you are being tortured, violence, it was very traumatic.
What were the conditions like during the 5 years you and your sister were held captive?
Traumatizing. When we were captured, there would be like a new group of people coming in that they would go, capture and then bring them to the camp. And it would be different types of women, men, boys, girls, and they all had to go through that initiation whereby they are being raped, they are being beaten up, and if it's really, if you're unlucky that day, there's high chances that you're gonna get killed. So we had to witness that almost on a daily basis, where women, young girls are being raped, killed, pregnant women being raped, killed. Sometimes you witness it and then you become, the victim yourself on days whereby I'm the one that's being raped, I'm the one that's being beaten up. If I'm lucky, I don't get killed. And I would be praying to God that please don't let this be my day. Eventually, it just got to a point whereby you were just like, you know what, I would rather die than live in this condition all the time. That was the living conditions there, the experience. Yeah. So the conditions were very...
What were some of the most difficult experiences you endured?
The most difficult experience that I endured was, imagine growing up with someone. We're children, we play together, we eat together, we get bullied together by boys at the village. Seeing that person being so happy to seeing them so sad, so vulnerable, depressed, and to a point whereby they can't even endure pain anymore, they die. That was the toughest experience I had to go through. Seeing someone you love going through so much and there's nothing you can do about it. And when my best friend passed away, just that experience of being alive was eating me, to a point whereby I envied her death. I was like, Noham, you've got it easier, well done. From there onwards, just experiencing life and being alive there was the worst experience.
How did you and your sister manage to escape from captivity?
So what happened was that we needed to defend ourselves, and it got to a point whereby something bad happened and we just needed to defend ourselves. And with us defending ourselves, it led to them wanting to kill us. So from there, my sister just was like, you know what, we have to get out of here. And then it was in the middle of the night. We started running, and they were chasing us. And from there, that's when the idea of, coming to South Africa, popped up in my sister's mind. Yeah.
Why did you choose to come to South Africa rather than going back to your village, going somewhere else in the DRC, going to Kenya or Egypt, or trying to get assistance from Europe or America?
Or trying to get assistance from Europe or America. At that point, I didn't even know those places exist. I didn't even know South Africa exists. But what led to that decision was my sister. She saw it in a dream. And it's amazing how, our subconscious talks to us. And if you are willing to listen, it really guides you to your destiny and to what you are meant to be. So my sister dreamt about it, and she was like, yeah, she saw me, standing in front of a lot of people, and I was talking, and there was this huge flag that resembles South Africa. A South African flag was behind me. So she feels she needs to take me to South Africa. We need to go to South Africa. And I remember asking her, where is that? She was like, you'll see, Nelson Mandela is there. And I didn't even know it was Nelson Mandela.
What were significant challenges you faced during your 6,000 kilometer journey, and how did you find the strength and motivation to keep going?
Well, the challenges that I faced in our journey to South Africa, it was more internal. Asking yourself questions like, why am I here? Why was I born? What is my purpose? In that, some people go out to try and seek. In my case, it was more of like that journey was helping me create and sculpt myself, and having the guidance of my sister, who was, the one leading the way. She was really sowing a seed inside me that wherever life takes you, it's in your hands to make the most out of it. And in that journey, we didn't have access to food. We would go for weeks without water. We would go for weeks just walking. Sometimes your feet I didn't have shoes. My feet felt like giving up, but I couldn't, because I was looking at all the people that I left behind and how they wished to escape, and how Noham, my best friend that passed away, would be so proud of how far we've come. So all of that happened at the rebels camp is what shaped me, and the challenges that I was facing, they were no longer challenges but more of a celebration to how far we've come and where we're going.
Upon arriving in South Africa, how did you adapt to your new environment?
How did I adapt? Wow. I adapted by getting to know the people, the culture. I started with the language. I started with the language. I started learning how to speak Afrikaans. That was the first language I learned when I got here. I was in a children's home that was just Afrikaans orientated. From house mother to the children, they were all Afrikaans speaking. So the house mother was a bit challenged to get, an African girl to come stay in the house. And I learned the language out of my own will. And also I learned the culture, the Afrikaans culture, where they like braaiing on Wednesdays. I don't know why Wednesdays, but they love braaiing on Wednesdays. The Sundays is like for church and spending time with family. I embrace their culture. From there on, I started seeing life as like, we are all the same in a way. And I didn't see myself as different, because I kept on, even at school, I kept on telling myself there's nothing different from me and Afrikaans people. I've got feet, I've got a brain, I can see, I'm very intelligent. The only thing that is different is just my color, but otherwise we are actually the same people. With that mentality, I had positivity, and that is how I adapted and started thriving in my environment.
What were the key factors that helped you succeed in school despite starting at age 11?
The key factors was having the will to learn, 1. 2, before I even arrived in South Africa, I knew my purpose already. I wanted to go to school. I was looking forward to school. I was looking forward meeting my classmates. I was just I was just captivated by reading and writing. And with that, it's beyond just black and white. If you are able to read and write, you are able to create a world filled with colors, and a world where, your dreams can come to reality. So education alone was just like the inspiration to want to do better and to want to have my story out there. So I knew that I had to take my education seriously. And coming from a place where I was never exposed to school, I never went to school in the Democratic Republic of Congo. I never knew what's a pencil or what's a book. Coming from that background and actually, touching one and opening pages and seeing the words, it's like a whole different world.
How did your experience during captivity and your journey shape your determination to pursue higher education and a career in it?
To pursue higher education, what inspired me to go further. I have two people that inspired me. One is my best friend Noham, and two is my sister Yadian. So in the village, Noham was the only Muslim girl, the only Muslim family that was in the village. That is where I was exposed to the book. She was being taught how to read and write in Arabic, and she was being taught the Quran. Yeah, so that is how I got to at least see the book, but I was not allowed to open or try and read it due to the rules that were implemented in the village to try not to get them influence the rest of the village to turn into Muslim, because the village itself had its own god and the ways of doing things. So that was that. And then the second was my sister, how when we were walking down to South Africa, she kept on saying, when I get here, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna go to the best universities, eventually I'm going to be a big shot in education and so on. At that time I never believed her, but as I was growing and experiencing life, it was just evident that that is what I was meant to do, and I have a passion for education, and yeah, here I am.
How did you start your hair business?
I started it after high school, but the inspiration was there before I started it, which was when I was in the children's home. I remember very well, we were watching a video of Beyonce, and I remember telling the girls, like, there's no way that it's Beyonce's hair, there's no way. And they kept on saying, no, that is her hair, don't be jealous, what. I was like, listen, Beyonce is black, there is no way that her hair is that long, and she changes it like instantly. So I then I took the initiative to go online and do some research about hair, and it turned out to be there's a huge market that sells wigs, manufacture hair. There's it's just crazy, and how Americans were benefiting from it then already, and it was not a thing in Africa. So I was just like, maybe in future that's something I want to tap into. And then when I got a chance, that's when I started slowly building up my brand, Urban Doll Factory. And from there, I started selling. With that money, then was helping me pay my school fees, my expenses, and so on.
What does graduation with an advanced diploma in IT from Nelson Mandela University mean to you?
Whoa, Nelson Mandela University. Already when we hear that name, Nelson Mandela, it comes with so much depth. There's so much meaning to it. Nelson Mandela walked, so that I'm able to come and build freedom. And from me building, I imagine to have somebody else, giving somebody else access to be able to come sit on that table that I built. So it's such a privilege to come from Nelson Mandela University, to be part of to be graduating from the information technology faculty, which I was lecturing at some point. I was a lecturer there at some point. So seeing that growth and you know what the university did for me, gave me that experience, you know, to tap into what they thought I might enjoy, and which I really enjoy being a lecturer. So it came with a lot of opportunities, and I'm very grateful for that.
Can you talk about your current role at Eduvos and your aspirations to become a professor and an author?
My current role at Eduvos, I am a lecturer specializing in hardware, cybersecurity, network engineering, and I'm touching a little bit of Python coding there. It has been great. I'm growing, you know, in my career. I'm also growing spiritually. So that has been amazing, and that is also going to shape my path to where I want to end up, being a professor, maybe, you know, lecture in one of those fancy universities, Harvard or whatever. I see myself somewhere there. And also with that, you know, being in academia, it really puts me in a place whereby, you know, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of writing. And with that experience, I'll be able to write 5 more books, because I believe I have 6 books that I need to present to this world. So they're all somehow connected. Yeah.
What message do you want to share about the ongoing conflict in the DRC and the plight of refugees fleeing similar conflicts?
Wow, I would like to, you know, create awareness of what's happening in the DRC, and it's coming from a person that experienced it, that walked through it. Looking back and looking at the current situation that's like happening right now in the DRC, is that so many children are being killed, and so many just humans are being killed. And I mean, like, this could have been the next super duper engineer, could it be the next astronaut? You know, these girls and these children that are dying on a daily basis, they could have been maybe the next best authors, you know. So just by creating awareness, we are somehow able to prevail or save a life, save a dream, you know. Maybe even the next cure for cancer is probably sitting in the DRC, being starved to death. So this shows that even in our own communities, you need to be kind, gentle to your neighbor. That kindness somehow forms a community that is filled with positive, and somehow, you know, in that positivity, there's strength and structure built from there, and that can go and have impact in other provinces, from provinces to countries, from countries to continents, and then the next thing we know, it's a global movement. And for all my refugees out there, for anyone that is displaced, that is experiencing hardship, that went through trauma, I want you to look at me and see that it's possible to dream and make your dreams come true. It's possible to go out there and fight for what is yours, and what you believe you can, you know, create and have a positive impact in this world. So that is what I want to give to the world.